Hildy, Empire 19.
This is Hildy, go ahead.
Yeah, is everybody okay and on the ground?
We're on the ground okay, and the jump spot is clear for cargo, over.
The spotter coordinates the drop spot with the jumper incident commander. All jumpers are on the ground. Cargo is never dropped if jumpers are still hung up in trees.
Yeah, I'm ready for cargo. Let's use the same spot the jumpers used.
Okay, let me go over there and check it out. As soon as I get it cleared and checked, we'll drop her.
The final cargo drop spot is selected after the jumper incident commander is on the ground. The spotter may want to put the cargo in the jump spot, but the jumper incident commander may plan to attack the fire in a different location and will want the cargo there. Or the jumpers may have used a jump spot quite far from the fire. The incident commander may want the cargo dropped closer in. The point is, the spotter and incident commander have an operational interest in the cargo drop spot location. You have a safety interest. The final say is yours. If surrounding terrain makes a cargo drop too difficult or unsafe to fly, you must point out the problem to the spotter. Work out a safe alternative. In this case, the cargo spot requested by the jumper on the ground is okay.
Unlike dropping jumpers, where the spotter is in charge, cargo dropping is your show. In multi-engine aircraft, these drops are routinely made at 250 feet AGL. In single-engine aircraft, Forest Service policy calls for a 500-foot altitude. These drops are often made in rugged terrain. You must be in total control of the aircraft.
The spotter gets the bundles positioned and static lines hooked up. He kicks the cargo bundles on your command. You are responsible for accurate lineup. Timing and coordination are critical. A half-second delay by the spotter getting the bundle out can cause an overshoot of 75 feet or more. As the spotter readies the cargo, you need to analyze the wind, terrain, and obstructions. Wind usually determines jumper drop patterns. Terrain generally dictates cargo patterns. Never fly a pattern that requires maximum power or a very steep turn to clear obstructions. The ground level should always fall away after the bundle's kicked. Cargo often is dropped in the very bottom of a steep canyon. A turn into the wrong drainage can mean a dead end. Always leave a way out in the case of downdrafts, turbulence, or the off chance of a bundle hanging up on the tail of the aircraft. Anticipate downdrafts on the lee side of ridges and factor them into your cargo drop pattern. Smoke may obstruct visibility on some approaches to the drop spot. Never fly into a dense smoke column when dropping cargo. Always consider the effect of the fire itself on flight conditions. Fire can cause significant turbulence and up air. Careful analysis of the terrain and other factors before committing to a low-level cargo pass can't be overemphasized. In some very difficult terrain, a good low-level approach may be impossible. If so, drop at a higher, safer altitude. Plan your cargo patterns so they can be flown smoothly. Smooth banks and changes in power and airspeed, constant rate of descent to drop altitude, and smooth increase in power and airspeed to climb out after the drop. Avoid hard pull-ups and steep banks.
While the spotter is unstrapping the cargo, you may want to fly a dry run to test your selected approach. Fly this dry run with a little extra altitude and airspeed. It'll give you a feel for the air and a close look at the terrain before committing yourself to a live run at a lower altitude and a slower airspeed.
Pinpoint accuracy is possible using 250-foot cargo drop altitude and prescribed airspeeds while maintaining a good margin of safety. Accuracy is important in cargo dropping. A miss of 200 feet in steep terrain can result in cargo drifting a long way downhill or hanging up in trees. The time lost retrieving it instead of fighting fire can be critical to the fire mission. Unless you've packed 90-pound bundles in the mountains or retrieved cargo from trees, you can't appreciate the consequences of an inaccurate cargo drop.
A top Smokejumper pilot can put cargo in a 100-foot circle most of the time, but don't let the pressure for pinpoint accuracy push you to exceed your ability. Work on the skills, procedures, and techniques that allow cargo patterns to be flown safely and accurately.
Teamwork and close coordination create smooth, safe cargo drops. Time your orbit around the drop spot and be in position to make the first cargo run when the spotter's ready. The spotter should let you know what is being dropped and the type of chute to help you anticipate lead and drift.
Yeah, I'm readying back for the cargo. This is a fire pack on a 12-foot square.
On base. On final.
The BLM and Forest Service use different communication procedures during cargo drops. In the Forest Service, you both talk on the intercom. You ring a bell to signal the spotter to kick. In BLM operations, the spotter talks to you on the intercom while you talk back and give the kick command over the PA. Both procedures work as long as pilot and spotter know and understand the routine and the commands.
Stand by. Kick.
Streamers are not dropped for cargo. You need to have wind drift, bundle trajectory, and kick time figured out before you signal for a kick. Large, heavy bundles take longer to get out the door than small bundles. Some spotters are slow kickers, others fast. You'll learn to adjust your lead to a particular spotter. With no wind, bundle trajectory and kick time typically require about a 45-degree lead from the aircraft to where you want the bundle to land. Wind drift may require you to put the cargo out 150 to 200 feet farther upwind of where you want it to land. Experience and practice are the only ways to learn to combine all these factors for accurate cargo dropping. Consistent altitude and airspeed over the drop zone leads to improved accuracy. You won't be able to see where the cargo landed until you're on the crosswind or downwind leg. Usually the spotter helps you adjust your kick point or altitude. Remember, if you're going to err on altitude, err on the high side. Otherwise, the parachute might not have time to open. The cargo can be destroyed on impact if that happens, creating obvious problems for the jumpers. Most cargo is dropped with a parachute. Tree climbing spurs, used to retrieve parachutes from trees, are dropped free fall. This ensures they won't hang up in a tree. The spotter will tell you when a free fall drop is to be made. Climbing spurs have almost no wind drift because there's no parachute, but there will be more trajectory, so you'll need to adjust your kick point. Free fall drops are especially hazardous to those on the ground. The spotter alerts the jumpers by radio when a free fall drop is coming. Watch for jumpers on the drop zone or in line with the flight path on final. If you see a person who could be hit by a free fall bundle, abort the drop and have the spotter clear the drop zone.
In fact, you need to be alert to any possible hazard on the ground during all cargo runs, conventional and free fall bundles. Sometimes cargo chutes malfunction, causing a free fall bundle. Or a bundle may become wedged in the door momentarily and be dropped several seconds late. While there may be no one on the drop zone, a person in line with the drop is still at risk. Smoke jumpers are trained to stay off the DZ and out of the line of the drop run, but you'll often drop on fires where ground personnel are unfamiliar with cargo dropping. They may put themselves in dangerous positions without knowing it.
So be especially alert for people on the ground who may be at risk. Go around without dropping until these people are in a safe area. Sometimes you may drop on an established fire with fire camps and concentrations of people. If so, plan your cargo run so you never fly toward camp or people. Even if the bundle goes out late or the chute malfunctions, there should be no risk to those on the ground.
Looking ahead, planning for the possibility of a long drop keeps an experienced pilot from making a cargo run towards a lake, a river, or the fire.
Hildy, Empire 19.
This is Hildy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bernie, that's all we've got for you. Is anything else you need?
Everything's okay. Clear.
Okay, we're headed for home. You can talk to lead 10 about the retardant.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hildy, clear.
Lead 10, Empire 19.
Go ahead, 19er.
That's all we've got. We'll leave it to you. The ensign commander on the ground is Hildy.
Roger, 19er. See you later.
Empire 19 clear.
A smooth Smokejumper mission produces a real feeling of satisfaction. Even when minor problems crop up, if the jumpers and cargo got safely on the ground, the operation was successful. The time to talk about any problems is right after the mission. In this case, there was one long cargo drop. The spotter and pilot can benefit from a debriefing session to talk the problem over and work out a solution for the future.
A lot is involved in Smokejumper flying, and you can take pride in mastering the skills and procedures that make these missions go like clockwork. But you must understand, your primary role and responsibility is flight safety.
The spotter is responsible for the firefighting aspects of the mission and for the safety of the parachute jumping. But as the pilot, you have the ultimate responsibility for flight safety. Flying in the mountains, flying in smoky conditions or in marginal weather, drop pattern flying and cargo drops, they all present special flight safety concerns. Take control of flight safety. Use established procedures and modify your approach to a fire when necessary. Work closely with your spotter to conduct safe and efficient missions through teamwork and good communication.
The BLM and the Forest Service need and expect you to speak up on behalf of flight safety.
Pilots like you fly hundreds of Smokejumper missions each year for the BLM and Forest Service. Most are flown safely. It's your job as a Smokejumper pilot to minimize the potential risks. Never let them develop into safety problems. Your primary responsibility as a Smokejumper pilot is safety.